truth, this is the place for you. No need to complicate it, it's best to keep it basic. Open the book, the word is self-approved. He's Alpha and Omega, the answer since the early ages. What you should do is learn about the greatest. Just so you know, our door is always open. Let's study together instead of debating. Share our differences, let love heal all that's broken.
And shalom aleichem to each and every one of you. So glad to have you here today on The Proceeding Word. This is yours truly, Apostle V.W. Jones Sr., and we are elated to come again to you with some practical teachings of our faith in the kingdom of Elohim and how we should demonstrate, manifest, and operate according to his edict and what would become pleasing to him. The Bible declares that without faith, it is impossible to please Elohim. But we've also understood and learned that faith comes by hearing, and hearing comes by the word of Elohim. So we can't make up faith. We can't just have a feeling of faith. It's not an emotion. It is an actual edict or a governance. So we want you to join us today as we prepare to teach and learn. You might want to share this one today. A tad bit controversial, but I think that it is necessary for us to find our way to a place of hopefully hearing the Father say, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." We probably should give heed to what faith says we should do. Well, we have a topic, of course, and it's sort of kind of touchy because of the season. I always teach about the holiday seasons and the holy day seasons, and I give the differences versus what they are and who does what and how it gets done. So I want to make sure that everybody gets this and sees this and looks at this for what it's worth. So let's just talk about this even right now as we go into our teaching on the day. I want to make sure you know that I'm not coming for anybody, but we are trying to make sure we sort of kind of stop the foolishness and try to justify that it pleases the God of our salvation. And I mean the God of Avram, Yitzhak, and Jacob. I don't mean just any God. I don't mean the Lord of the Rings. I'm not talking about the Lord of the Flies. I'm not talking about any other God other than the God who gave us the person of Yeshua, Jesus, many of you call him, who hung on the cross, bled, died, was buried, rose again, and ascended into the right hand of the Father, and will soon descend and take his throne as one from the tribe. He's that lion from the tribe of Judah who will reign from Jerusalem over this earth. That is the God we're discussing. Now, to be in a position to reign with the lion from the tribe of Judah, the Lamb of God, we need to understand first how to operate in the earth just like he did. So one of those things comes around at this time of year where we sort of kind of mingle his existence with a bunch of idolatrous scenarios that Elohim, God who gave us Yeshua, says don't do. And then we say, well, we're going to do it anyway, God, because, you know, we can repurpose stuff. So today we want to talk about the concept of repurposing. Clubhouse, we seem to be having some problems with the phones over there. So we're going to, whenever we see a red note on you on Clubhouse, we're going to put you down into the audience. I know it's a glitch on Clubhouse, but we just can't have that visual. So if you get put back down into the audience rather than have your microphone on Clubhouse, please don't take offense to it. Just we'll extend you another microphone. So when you're off of your phone call, or if it's just a glitch because a DNR or do not disturb keeps coming through on you, don't worry about it. Just work with us, rock with us. And I want to get that to your head so you're not offended. Those of you who are with us on the YouTube space, we're so glad to have you. We want you that are also on YouTube viewing us. If you're not already subscribed, would you please consider subscribing to the broadcast? We don't want anything from you, just your subscription. We won't be emailing you blasts and always coming at you. No, you'll get notifications if you hit the bell whenever we go live, because these teachings seem to help people sort of kind of get their bearings on how to be a functioning Christian, a functioning believer in he who hung on the cross. So we found out that people sort of kind of like what we talk about. Some don't like it, but they can't deny it. And then they keep viewing back in. They may troll, they may whatever. And then there are those who absolutely love it, who come in and support it. I guess we're like the Dallas Cowboys of football. If you don't know American football, there's a team called the Dallas Cowboys. They call it the America's team. You hate them or you love them. There's no in between. Well, that's sort of kind of what we are. You hate us or you love us. There's no in between, but we're always going to be solid about the word of Elohim and how to live a life pleasing to the Father. Sometimes we hit and sometimes we miss. And I mean that sincerely, but we know how to get back to him. We know how to get into what pleases him. And that's what we share on this vein and platform called the proceeding word. Why? Because man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yahweh, who is in fact our Elohim. Now, back to the point. Facebook, if you're here, hit the page, like the page on Facebook, then like the actual program you're in, and then make a comment in the threads. You'll give us everything we need to keep getting our algorithms where they need to be. And of course, that's what we're here. Everybody's got a podcast. Everybody's got a vlog and a blog. This is just the new normal for our societies, especially for a person who comes out of the 60s, born in the 60s, and is now however old he is. And so this is the new normal for communicating across platforms that spread the globe. So if you'll help us by keeping the algorithm hot, making a comment, hitting like, those of you on YouTube, subscribe to it. And those of you on Facebook, if you've not subscribed to YouTube, you may want to, because there is a very strong push in our office to get off of Facebook and only go YouTube. And I am strongly considering it. So before we disappear off of Facebook, other than, those who might know me on personal pages, once we're gone off of Facebook, you know me, I'm gone. I never come back. I don't go back to my vomit. So that's what's going to be happening. In Facebook, you can take that for what it's worth. But YouTube you need to subscribe to YouTube if you want to, until we get our app on our webpage. So that wasn't a shot. That wasn't nasty. It's just the reality of the choice our business decisions are come to. All right. Now let's go into this conversation about don't take Christ out of Christmas. All right. So there is a popular quote. Well, it's not as popular as it should be, but I'm going to put it up on the screen for many of you to view it and look at it. And the quote is one that indicates there is an interesting cry from Christendom, meaning don't take Christ out of Christmas. However, there's another quote that states, you cannot be framed if you are not in the picture. So stay out of the picture, right? And you can't get framed. So one can't take Christ or Mashiach out of something he was never in. So let's take the opportunity to discuss this truth. Well, here we go. Let's get into it. Now, there is an article that I had been reading from a great young man some years ago, and he did a little bit of research on where the origins of Christmas and the origin of a lot of the holidays of the Gregorian calendar came from. I'm an aficionado in the holy days of the Bible, the Torah, and those holy days are not to be compared to the holidays of man, because the holy days of Elohim are appointed times. though the holidays of man mimic and make effort to mirror the holy days of Elohim, and they make them celebratory or festivals. Now, when we talk about taking Christ out of Christmas, many people don't understand that the Christmas tree predates the Messiah by millennia. And if you don't know what a millennia is 1,000 years, right? So I just want to make sure you understand that before Messiah was ever born, Yahweh already talked about the Christmas tree in the book of Jeremiah. Now, everybody seems to say, oh, we know that. We know what he said about the tree and whatever. But let me just tell you what he said. Let me show you what he said about the tree. All right. So many might not like this and say, well, we heard you teach this before. I promise you, you didn't hear this part. So here we go. Let's look at Jeremiah chapter number 10. Verse number 2. Now, again, this is Jeremiah, who is a bona fide, legitimate, vetted prophet of Elohim. Not these people you got running around here today. Very, very few. And I know some who are true prophets of Elohim, and I rock with them. But most people self-proclaiming to be a prophet of God because the spirit of prophecy came over them a couple of times in consistently, they think they're a prophet now. You just operating under the spirit of prophecy. That's not making one a prophet. So Jeremiah, Isaiah, any book in the Bible that is a prophet's name on it, that book is a vetted prophet of Elohim. Everybody else self-proclaiming to be prophets, trust me, be very leery. Try that spirit by the spirit of the word to see if they are of Elohim. That's what you found out in the New Testament. So Jeremiah is a vetted prophet of Elohim. And I want to ask a question to everybody on platform, and I want participation. So if you're on Clubhouse, feel free to come off your microphone. If you're on Facebook, type it in. If you're on YouTube, type in the answer, because I really want participation on this. If Messiah was born in the New Testament, if Yeshua HaMashiach, or Jesus the Christ, was born in the New Testament, meaning, the part of your Bible that says Matthew through Revelations, if he was born up there, and the part of the Bible that says Malachi back to Genesis is called the Old Testament, and he wasn't born back there. So if he was born in the New Testament, then anything that happened in the Old Testament could not be attributed to him as it relates to pagan things, right? So here's the question. Was Jeremiah, the prophet Jeremiah from the Old Testament, was he before Yeshua's birth in the New Testament? Did he live before the birth of our Messiah? Yes or no? It's real simple. Did he live? He lived before the birth of our Messiah, right? Yes, sir. So thanks for the participation. I got one more thing I need to ask you guys. So if Jeremiah, who is a prophet of Elohim, who is living in prophetic function before Yeshua's even born, if he is before Yeshua's birth, then if there's a problem in the earth that Jeremiah is addressing, should we make it a repurposed celebration around our Messiah?
Definitely.
We should not, right?
No.
So many people don't understand this, and I'm going to be efficient. I'm going to be quick here, but I want to make sure you pay attention to this. So Jeremiah, the book of Jeremiah, is before Yeshua. Can y'all say that? Can y'all type it in? Jeremiah is before Yeshua. You can type it in Jeremiah and then use B and the number 4 just to keep the typing down. Jeremiah is before Yeshua. I need us to get that. I don't think we do. So if Jeremiah is citing a problem as a prophet of Elohim who is giving us Yeshua, Yahweh's salvation, if he's giving us salvation, the same God that's giving us salvation is also the source of Jeremiah's ministry. He is telling Jeremiah, tell the people, don't do this. That same God is the God who gave us Yeshua, that he hung on a tree, a dogwood tree. Now, if Jeremiah comes before Yeshua and Jeremiah makes a statement that displeases the Father, then I think we need to put this in the proper context. Let's look at what he does here. And I'm hoping you guys will find this of fun and of interest. Thank y'all for putting that in there. Jeremiah is before Yeshua. Look at what Jeremiah writes in Jeremiah chapter 10, by the word of Elohim. Look at the verse 24. Hear ye the word which Yahweh is speaking unto you. See, the reason I paused previously to make clear that prophets today may not be prophets of Elohim, but they are prophets about the teachings of Elohim. I said that with my whole heart. I purposefully got my 10 toes down under my chair because I meant that. So Jeremiah is always speaking on behalf of Elohim. Jeremiah says, hear ye the word of Yahweh, which he speaks unto you and says, O house of Israel, thus says Yahweh, learn not the way of the heathen. And do not be dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. Now, reason verse 2 is so intriguing is because when he says, be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, is because if you know Torah, you know in chapter 1 of the book of Bereshit, the book of Genesis, Yahweh says he threw stars and lights into the sky, the firmament, 4 times and 4 seasons. So you of Israel know the constellations of the stars represent times and seasons. Learn the Torah and don't be dismayed by the stars, because other astrologists and astronomers from other faith systems and other countries are looking at the stars and wondering what they mean. Don't you be dismayed. I've given you the codex. I've already given you the cheat sheet for what those signs, what those full moons, what those honeymoons, what they mean, and what should be done in that season. So don't be dismayed at the signs that are in the sky, the lights and the stars that are in the sky, because you already know what they mean. Because the heathen, they won't read the Torah, so they don't know what those signs are. That's why they're dismayed. Now, I told you, some of y'all thought y'all knew what I was going to be telling you, but this you've never heard because we don't talk about it. Messiah, pardon me, is post Jeremiah. This moment is Yahweh correcting a problem in Israel proper, telling them, be careful the things you do. Don't mind the ways of the heathens, and don't get caught up in what they say those stars mean, those lights in the skies mean. I've already given you in Torah what it means. Here it is again. Look at this next piece. Somebody can say I was this day old if you want to. Watch what he says. He says, verse 2, thus says Yahweh, learn not the way of the heathen and be not dismayed at the signs in heaven. For the heathen are dismayed at them. Somebody say that makes sense.
That makes sense, yeah.
Now, verse 3, helping us to get to this place of practicality in the faith. Verse number 3, here is it gets deep. For the customs of the heathen people are vain. Then he goes on to talk about a custom. He says, one of the customs is they cut a tree out of the forest. They do it by the work of the hands of a workman who has an axe. They then deck that tree with silver and with gold, and they fasten that tree with nails and with hammers that do not move. They stand upright as a palm tree, but they speak not. They must needs be carried. That's what born means. It means they must needs be born. It means, verse 5, they must be carried. You got to carry it from where you cut it down, because they can't go on their own. So, but, mind you, though it's vain, don't be afraid of them, for they can't do evil. Neither is there any good in them to do either. So it's not that you should fear the Christmas tree or think it's satanic or think it has any specific power. You need to understand it can't do good, it can't do evil. It's just it's a waste of your daggone time. Can y'all see what Yahweh is telling Israel to not do? Don't waste your time with that foolishness. Why would you cut down a tree I planted and then carry it to your house and stand it up artificially as if it belongs in a place that it is completely out of its habitat? Don't do it. Don't waste your time. Now, here's the question to the group again. Was this statement of the tree being cut down before Messiah was ever born?
Yes.
So there's no way the Christmas tree has anything to do with Messiah.
No way. Not at all. Correct.
Let me ask the question in another way. So the Christmas tree, the Christmas tree, the Christmas tree, as we want to try and make it sound, the Christmas tree was before Messiah, who you named Christ.
Now, come on up in here now.
That part.
So the Christmas tree and Christ. So if you say don't take Christ out of Christmas, and Christmas comes from the vain idolatry of the tree cutting, how then does Messiah, the Christos, as Greeks have named him, now become the impetus, now become the power of the season, if he was never in the season? How can you take someone who wasn't even in the picture out of the frame if he was never in it?
That is different. Yeah, this is different.
Now, I got to admit, I was one who, when I was younger in ministry and my apostle had me teaching, and I taught on a Christmas Day service in our traditional Christmas render of the Christian church. We got Christian, Christmas, and Christ all convoluted up in there. And before, you don't have Christianity until Christos is dead, until the Christos is dead, until Christ is dead. If you're going to use that vernacular, if you're going to use that language, you don't have Christmas, you don't have Christianity until Jesus, Yeshua HaMashiach, the Christos, is dead and resurrected and ascended, and someone takes his teachings and continues teaching them. That's how Christianity, if you're going to base it and frame it, should be operating. So this tree was long before his birth or his death or his resurrection. And Yahweh says it's vain. Why are you doing it?
Wow. That right there.
Matter of fact, what are you doing? Don't do it. Let me tell you what they're doing. It's vain. Leave it alone. So that's just, again, the point that we in Christendom have this disease. WD, WTM. My doctors who have their you know oh man, what's the book of diagnosis, the DC, what's the thing called, the book of diagnosis? My goodness, I'm supposed to know it, right? Uh-huh. Anywho, it's a real diagnosis. It's a spiritual diagnosis. It's called WDWTM, meaning we do way too much. That's what Christendom do. We just do way too much.
Diagnostic codes.
Thank you, Cole. Right. So the 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 point of the cry to me is an indictment that we don't know the God of our salvation the way he wants to be known. We want to give him what we want him to have, and he's not interested in that gift. He's not interested in your tree. He's not interested in your Pollyanna. He's not interested in your gift exchange. And it never made sense why we would give a gift to a birthday boy and give a gift to everybody but the birthday boy. So we would give a gift to the governor, the police department, the mailman, the greeter at Walmart, grandma, auntie, cousin, and them, and then baby boy, Junebug, and you know, Sassy, which we ain't seen in 11 months. And we would just give them gifts to say we love you because we spent some money from the Dollar Tree that we use as a Dollar Tree gift, and some wrapping paper and some tape. And this is supposed to say I love you because I gave you I exchanged a gift with you. Don't that seem vain? Because it seems like a lie to me. When I really stopped to break that down in my inner soul, again, not coming for this holiday of a Gregorian calendar, do it. Do it. Because I want to make this very clear clause. I am going to eat any food that is cooked in this holiday season, and I know to cook, and I'm going to eat it because I like the food, but I do not want to associate myself with the foolishness, the vanity of it. I cannot connect it to my Messiah when it was before the Messiah's birth and definitely had nothing to do with his death, burial, and resurrection. I cannot connect Christmas to Christianity, even though I don't like the fact that we repurposed the Messiah and called the Mashiach Cristo. Even though I can fight that argument all day long, I still cannot in any way justify trying to connect Christmas to Christianity. They don't go together. They never did. Never, ever did they. The only connection between Christmas and Christianity is the Roman Empire. Both of them used Christmas, and the Roman Empire also labeled Christianity because the Greek word for Mashiach was Christo. You'll find that in John chapter number 4. It's right there in verses 25. And if you go pay attention, you'll see that at that part in John, let's just go there very quickly for those of you who may be finding this educational and really not mad at me thinking I'm hating on our religious celebration. Well, wait a minute. Christmas is one of the most profitable days of the Christian church. That should tell us something. That should tell us something. That should tell us something. That should tell us something very strong. The one thing I love about Elohim is that his feast days, if we honor them, they profit us. These holidays versus Elohim's holy days, they put us in debt. It's just a give out. Oh, it's more blessed to give than to receive. But when Elohim has a holy day, he wants us to come unto him. And he inhabits the praise of his people. So when we render going into his true presence on the holy day, he inhabits that praise. And if he inhabits that praise, he's always bearing gifts. The only gift we need to bear coming to the Father is presenting our bodies a living sacrifice. In these other holiday situations, you got to come to convince and exchange with others. Oh, here's a gift for you. I want you to know I was thinking about you and I love you, so I'm going to spend this hard-earned money on you and do this for you. Now, I'm not coming for y'all about the money thing. It's just what gift. You can't get a gift without buying something or making it, right? That's even better if you did, right? Because at least your heart was in it. But it's vain. Yahweh's like, it's vanity. Don't do it. Don't go out there and cut the tree down. I want it to grow out there anyway. And then you bring it in here. Don't do what they do. And don't be dismayed. Don't be confused by the lights in the sky, because you may not know the times that the lights represent. But I told you, Israel, what each time, each lighting, each full moon, each new moon means. So you have the book that instructs you on the times of the sky, so you shouldn't be dismayed. The heathen should, because they won't read the book. Now, if they would read the book, they wouldn't be heathens anymore. So now, Messiah comes millennia later. He's born. Somehow we connect him to this tree that Yahweh said, don't even give attention to. And then 33 years later, plus 200 and some odd years after that, you now turn the story of Messiah into a relabeled title of Christo instead of Messiah. And from that, you now have Christianity. And yet the Christmas tree was far before he was even renamed. But you're saying in Christendom, I'm only addressing the statement that's at the top of this page, okay? Don't take Christ out of Christmas. Christ, the Messiah, was never in Christmas. What are we talking about?
Make it make sense, Apostle.
He wasn't there. I hate to pull the Shaggy, but it wasn't me. He wasn't there. Don't y'all get deep. Some of y'all stop. I already saw y'all trying to pull up the records on Spotify. Leave it alone. He wasn't there. How are you going to take him out of what he wasn't into? My dear Pastor Spencer, she reminds me of this phrase every time I think about her. And the phrase I used to use when I was younger, and what she said was, that reminded me was, we repurpose things and we make it fit the narratives we prefer. And that is not what Messiah intended. So back to the point of this, Jeremiah chapter 10, he says in verse number 1, he says, hear ye the word of Yahweh. Thus says Yahweh, learn not. Verse 2, look at it. Learn not the way of the heathens. Verse 3, the custom of those people are vain. One cuts a tree out of the forest. Verse 4, they deck it with silver and gold. Verse 5, it sits upright like a palm tree. But don't worry about it. I mean, it ain't evil. And it can't do good. But how many of y'all know, even if something can't be evil and something can't be good, if Yahweh says it's a waste of your time, should you give time to it? Some of y'all that went out to the forest and cut down the tree because it's just a traditional thing to do. If you are a believer in Elohim, I don't even care if you come from the cultures that this came from in its origin, you as a believer, leave it alone, because Yahweh says, do not learn the ways of the heathen. Now, if you already know them, then one should abandon it, if in fact we love the Father. Now, again, holiday is supposed to be family oriented and festive, and the children get gifts, and you get to sit around and drink spiked eggnog, which I do intend to enjoy. I'm going to have me some eggnog. Got a gallon right now, and whatever it gets spiked with, I'm going to sit down in front of my television and watch me a couple of my Dallas Cowboys win a couple of games on Christmas, and my Lakers win basketball. And that's going to be the thing. So my point to this is not to just be chatty about it. It is, we can't take Christ out of something he was never in. And as long as we keep saying, don't take Christ out of Christmas, or better yet, here's the one, y'all really not going to like me, especially if you are an African-American Christian. Matter of fact, no, because he crossed over. Kirk Franklin crossed over. Kirk Franklin came out with a beautiful song, man. The rhythm, the cadence, the orchestration, the composition of the song, the hook, the lyrics, everything is really encouraging. But I gotta say, Jesus is not the reason for the Christmas season. He's not. Again, Pastor Spencer and her wisdom, we repurpose things. So now we got a tree that Yahweh says, do not learn that way. Then we put the North Star in an emblem on top of the tree, as if to say the North Star has significance to the tree, and the tree is representative of our Savior in a manger. And now you connect all that. Again, it gets weirdly intertwined, and it is absolutely unnecessary. It is absolutely inappropriate, unappropriate when it comes to the things of Elohim. When it comes to being a Christian, Christmas and Christianity have never gone together. And yet, or at least the person that Christianity is supposed to be, the theme, he's supposed to be the theme of Christianity. The only connection between Christmas and Christianity is the Roman Catholic Greco order. Messiah is not connected to the Christmas tree. Elohim won't have you and I do it because he said, don't learn the way of the heathens. So you think Messiah, let me ask a question. Let me ask y'all a question. Do y'all think Messiah had a Christmas tree?
No, absolutely not.
I'm gonna ask it again because I don't think we get it. Do you think Messiah had a Christmas tree?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Not at all.
So do you think that on his birthday he put an image of a North Star on top of a version of a pine tree, and then he sat underneath of it and gave gifts out to the disciples?
No, sir.
This day old.
He didn't, did he? So if you rename the Messiah Christo, and you're supposed to be like Christo, the Messiah, if he didn't do it, why are you doing it? On top of that, Elohim says it's a waste of your time. And you and I are in a race with time to be pleasing to the Father. So would we be pleasing the Father to do what the Father says don't do? Nobody gonna help me? Y'all gonna leave me sitting out here just dying by myself? Would we be pleasing the Father to do what the Father says don't do? If I'm doing what the Father says don't do, will he say to me, well done, my good and faithful servant?
Yes, he will be pleased with us if we follow his instructions.
So if I'm going to do what he says don't do, should I expect him to say to me when I meet him, well done, my good and faithful servant?
No.
If I'm doing what he says don't learn, and I go to meet him, Is he going to say, well done, my good and faithful servant, because you did what I told you not to do?
Disobedience will not get that answer.
So at the end of the day, we got to really put this into context. What are we doing? And why are we associating it with our access to salvation? So when we say in Christendom, y'all better stop taking Christ out of Christmas, that ain't nothing but the devil. Okay, which part is the devil? Taking the word Christ out of Christmas or Christmas? I'm confused. Well, I'm not confused. I'm just pointing out some ambiguity. Which part is the devil? Is it the Christmas, or is it the taking the name Christ from a pre-labeled vain issue and acting as if taking out the name Cristo from it is unholy? Where's the devil at in this equation? So this is why, we're like the Cowboys. You either love us or you hate us. There's no in between, because we're going to stand firm on the tenets of his word. So today, as you go about, don't get caught up. It's easy to get caught up in the rhythm and the flow and the vibe of it all. And as we start moving and functioning within these things, again, Jesus is the reason for the season. No, he's not. I'm sorry. It wasn't a holy night, December 25th. The sky was brightly shining. It wasn't a holy night. It wasn't a silent night, holy night. All is calm, all is bright round yon virgin mother and child, holy infant, so tender in my spirit. No, that's not December 25th. That would be Tishri 15. That's in September, October. That's when the lights in the sky pointed down. That's what the Magi saw. It wasn't December 25th. So I'm going to read this and then let you guys go. This is a great article from an individual, and he called it Christmas Unveiled. As a matter of fact, if you don't mind, I'll put it on screen so you guys can see it for those of you who are not there. And I want to just read through it just so you can understand. I'm not the only one who sees this and has researched this out to this end, and it may be offensive to some. I'm not trying to mess up your holiday plans or your Christmas dinners. Eat them, because I'm going to eat as much turkey and good stuffing and dressing and candy yams and macaroni and cheese. I'm talking about from people who know how to make macaroni and cheese, and biscuits, and I'm going to eat. I intend to eat. I have allotted, and I have stopped eating for 2 days so I can eat for 1. Okay, and I'm gonna figure it out so I don't get fat. But I love the food during these days, and I love my families that come together around the table of food. You just make sure in practicality, you don't connect this to your salvation, because it's got nothing to do with your salvation. That's it in a nutshell. So why are you bothering us about it? Because people who don't know Messiah will, if we present it that way, associate Christmas to him. Well, nonetheless, Christ is preached. I hear you. But in all you're getting, we're supposed to get and also give proper understanding. That's why it says, study to show yourself approved unto Elohim, become workmen that need not be ashamed, but rightly dividing the word of truth. So I want to put this together for us so we can look at this real quick, if you don't mind. I'm going to read it, and I'm going to have you read it with me as well. So this way you can see it. All right, come on screen if y'all not up there already. Let me put it on screen for y'all right now. There we go. My notes. I'll go right into my notes. Okay. Now, this was an article that was called Christmas and Other Pagan Holidays, Their Origins. And so in this passage, it goes, one of the study points I've used in times past was always there. Oh, the words are so small, you guys may not be able to read it. But if you can, I'm going to put it up and read it anyway. Christmas unveiled. First, this worldwide tradition is thought to be a wonderful time, focused on giving, family, beautiful music and decorations, special foods, singing traditional carols. All this is supposedly centered around the worship of Jesus the Christ and his birth, December 25. But where did Christmas come from? What is the origin of Santa Claus? Mistletoe, Christmas trees, holly wreaths, Yule logs, and the exchanging of gifts. There is no mistaking the source of modern Christian celebration. Nearly all aspects of it have their roots in Roman custom and religion. Now, the Encyclopedia Americana reveals this. Christmas was not observed in the first centuries of the Christian church, since the Christian usage in general was to celebrate the death of the remarkable persons rather than their birth. A feast was established in memory of this event, i.e., Christ's birthday, which was in the 4th century. So in the 5th century, the Western Church ordered the feast to be celebrated on the day of Mithrak, rites of birth of the sun. Now, let me put it again. There was a feast that the Western Church ordered to be celebrated on the day of Mithrak's rites of the birth of the sun, and at the close of the Saturnalia, as no certain knowledge of the day of Messiah or Christ's birth had existed. Emphasis added to quotes throughout the article. Okay. Now, Encyclopedia Britannica states under the word Christmas that in the Roman world, Saturnalia, which is December 17, was a time of merrymaking and exchanging of gifts, i.e., December 25 was also regarded as the birth date of the Iranian mystery god Mithra, the son of righteousness, the S-U-N of righteousness. So on the Roman New Year, which is January 1, houses were decorated with greenery, with lights, and gifts were given to children and to the poor. To these observances were then added the German and the Celtic Yule rites. So when the Teutonic tribes penetrated into Gaul, Britain, and Central Europe, so food and good fellowship, the Yule log and the Yule cakes, greenery and fir trees, gifts, greetings, all commemorated different aspects of this festive season. Fires, lights, symbols of warmth and lasting life have always been associated with the winter festivals, both pagan and Christian. What could be plainer? Now, as I already taught you guys, the origin of the Christmas tree. Where did the Christmas tree come from? Notice the Christmas tree is from Egypt. Its origin dates from a period long anterior to the Christian era. There is a guy by the name of Frederick Jennings Haskin. Now, he has a book, and I've read it, Answers to Question, Chew Meat, Throw Bone Away. And he says, how many know the Christmas trees long precede Christianity? Most aspects of Christmas are not referred to in the Bible. Of course, the reason is that they are not from God. They are not a part of the way he wants people to worship him. The Christmas tree, however, is mentioned in the Bible. We know what men think about it, but here is what Elohim says about it. Thus says the Lord. I'm reading it verse per this article. Learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heavens, i.e. the stars, for the heathen are dismayed at them. Millions ignore this plain statement from God and reader, and they read their horoscopes daily. For the customs of the people are vain. One cuts a tree out of the forest, which is the work of the hands of a workman with an axe. They deck that tree with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers, and then they don't let it so that it doesn't move. They are upright as a palm tree. There you go. Jeremiah chapter 10, verses 2-5. The description is obvious. God directly refers to the Christmas tree as the way of heathen, just as directly, he commands to learn not the way of the heathen, calling these customs vain. So the most common justification one will hear regarding this holiday is that people have replaced old pagan intents and customs by asserting they are now Christian. For instance, many say they are honoring Christ in their Christmas keeping. The problem is, Elohim does not say that keeping this tradition is even acceptable to him. In fact, he plainly commands against it. Christmas keeping dishonors Christ. You will see God considers everything about it to be an abomination. Many additional sources and scriptures could be cited. He has a book out. It's called The True Origin of Christmas. I recommend you guys, if you want a good ancillary read, it is a commentary. It is a book of his findings, and I found it it was very good to read. He was on point with the same things I believe. And it's called The True Origin of Christmas. So facts from history and facts from scripture, when placed together, they really do paint a powerful picture. So I'm hoping that you all have enjoyed that reading. Many of you may have turned that off and left the programming, but I hope that you can appreciate the read and the information. My job is done here. Remember this, beloved. Man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yahweh, who is in fact our Elohim. So I'm not trying to come at y'all at the holiday season. That's just so inappropriate for you, man of God, to be talking about Christmas. If you know me, in a couple of months, you're going to see me talking about all the origins. You'll always hear me every year talk about holidays versus holy days. And I do that sometime in the summer so that when you start considering what you're going to do for your Gregorian holidays, how you should practically use them and be a part of them, if at all, it's what it is. So let me just make it clear. I'm not coming for it, but the comment just keeps coming up. Don't take Christ out of Christmas. Y'all, Christ was never in Christmas, ever. You just got 5 letters confused because of a Roman Catholic, Roman Greco, environment that was in charge, and their wordings and their language is what preceded those 5 words: Christ, Christo, whatever letters. I say 5 letters. They're not connected to Christmas. Christo was a word that was actually used to interpret Messiah in the Roman Greco language, in the Grecian language. And that's really what it became. That's what it was about. But it does not connect to Christmas. So you can't take Christ out of what he's not in. He's not in Christmas. Now, Christianity has put him there. So please take him out, or take Christmas out. But if y'all don't mind, before y'all throw it all out, just make sure y'all leave me a doggy bag, because the food is fire. I'm just gonna put that out there. I'm not hypocritical. I'm just gonna say, because yeah, I'm gonna get me some turkey. Yeah. It's been fun. I hope you guys have a great day. My name is Apostle V.W. Jones. And don't forget, in these times, though the world at large has used these times to be with your family, your jobs have given you days off. Take the time, since many won't honor Shabbat, but at least take this time to sit with your family, your children, your grandchildren, your nieces, your nephews as they come over, and have intentional conversations with them. No, not about your faith, but about life and what they're dealing with and how they're going through. You'll be surprised how you can help lift up each other's souls just by a conversation and sincerity. I know we have Sabbath, most of us, but many of the world don't keep Sabbath, where they have introspection. So while you're enjoying some spiked lemonade or some spiced eggnog or just a good, simple libation and protein and dessert, sweet potato pie, some of you pumpkin pie, just have a good conversation with someone in your lineage or in your peer group, and have a sincere one. You'll come out of this days off as days filled. May Yahweh bless you is my earnest prayer. I do hope and pray that all things towards you will work for your good as you work and learn and remember Elohim's word is what pleases him. Let's keep that in our mind. Well, everyone, it's been a joy and a pleasure. We'll chat with you guys soon. I love y'all to life eternal. I'll see y'all back here on Wednesday for our proceeding word. And yes, Wednesday is your holiday of the world, Christmas Day. I'll still be here. That's going to happen. And Wednesday night for our Bible study for the week, because it's a holiday. It's not a holy day. And so I'm still going to be teaching the gospel. So if you're interested while you're eating with your family and you want to tune us in, we're going to be right there. And I hope that you will join us. Unless staff gets to convince me not to do proceeding word, but I'm not doing Bible study. I'm just putting that out there right now. And you want to be there as we learn who are the true chosen people of Yahweh, who is in fact our Elohim. Well, Zion, I got to get going. It's been a joy being with you. May you, in fact, enjoy the rest of your day, and more importantly, practically learn what Yahweh means to give you the space and peace that you need in him. Well, shalom aleichem. Have a good one.
Truth, this is the place for you. Don't need to complicate it. It's best to keep it basic. Open the book, the word itself approved. He's Alpha and Omega, the answer since the early ages. What you should do is learn about the greatest. Just so you know, our door is always open. Let's study together instead of debating. Share our differences. Let love heal all that's broken.